Hi, my name is Candice Smiley, and I'm so grateful that you're taking a look at Modere as a supplemental income option for you and your family. Modere, in my opinion, is an incredible opportunity for you to get in on the online gig economy and the affiliate marketing world that is just enjoying some serious buzz right now. Let me tell you what Modere is not. Modere is not your typical MLM. It is not a scam. It is not a pyramid. And it's not you having to bother your friends. Bonus, right? I'll tell you what it is though. It is an online social retail phenomenon. And what is social retail? Social retail is you using your social networks to drive retail sales. Bonus, the products, we've got over 100 products. Health and wellness, skincare, collagen sciences, products that people actually want and love to use in their day-to-day. Best part, the products are priced comparably. So they measure up with other products on the market. Now, no, you're not going to be peddling products to your friends. Forget what you think you know about the old MLM model way of doing things. This is very simple. Let me explain. For $39.99, you get access to the social retail or shiftingretail.com back office, which handles all of your accounting and all of your affiliate managing system. There's also tons of training there, as well as on two major Facebook groups, the Legacy Team and the Real Results 2.0. So products-based and team-based. Very, very cool. Now you actually can come in here and only spend $39.99 and make sure that you've got customer orders coming in. So you don't actually have to place an order to be qualified for commission, but orders do have to be moving through your affiliate referral system code. Let me explain. Our products have a point-based system, which makes sense considering that we're all over the world. So you're not limited in your network to one single space. You continue to do your social media the way you normally do. You post a referral link or, hey, I'm loving these products, or hey, just read about these new products, absolutely loving them. You post that referral link, people go to the referral link, and it looks a lot like Amazon or any other online store. There's no weird communications. It's just simply purchase the product. All of the products have all of the product profiles, so it's easy to see ingredient lists, calorie counts, different percentages. There's usually reviews of people, real people, using and loving the products. There's ingredients, and there's often the science that went into it and products that work really well with that one. So the upsell is actually done for you by the company. Any and all of your customers who get started earn you between 10 and 36% commissions. Now, if you choose not to purchase product because you can only afford the $39.99 and you really want to see if this is as true as I say it is, you'll need to have at least 2 orders go through your business to equal 150 points of customer volume, new customer volume every single month. But you never have to buy any of the products if you don't want to. Pretty cool, right? As soon as you hit that quota of 150 PV points, point volume points, you are qualified for commissions and you'll be paid on the commissions of those 150 points. Bonus. Now, let's say you decide you want to buy something that costs, I don't know, $30 and you get a few points from that. That counts toward that volume. So you really have a lot of flexibility in how you want this to work for you. This app delivers to your phone every day, training and done for you posts for your social media, which means we are taking the guesswork out of you knowing how to build this affiliate gig. If you choose to join my team, I'm going to add you into a Facebook group where I coach the people that are working with me on how to maximize their affiliate and referral-based business. It is an exciting time to be online, and we're seeing people take their small-time social retail business into an incredible supplemental income for them. Caveat, it takes work, it takes time, and it takes energy, but you're already spending a lot of time on your social media platforms. You are already spending time doing the scroll, and we can show you how you can begin to allocate a small amount of time every single day to begin to create this referral-based, affiliate-based gig economy, which I'm really excited to show you. Anyway, I know you've got some questions. Some product videos will be sent to you. We can also send you some more videos in terms of the compensation plan in its fullness. Happy to show you how this whole thing works. All right. Well, welcome to another edition of the Create the Ripple podcast. I am your host, Candice Smiley, and I am like beyond stoked. Jody, I always say this. I'm like, I'm so stoked for my guests, and I always am, which is really good because clearly I'm choosing guests that are amazing. And I got to do a big shout out to Angel because she certainly has a huge part in helping me choose guests that really line up with what I've got going on. But here we talk about trusting the niggle and telling the truth. It's so much easier to hear the niggle when we're backcountry camping. I'm starting off with that because as Jody and I were prepping to do today's podcast, we discovered that we both found and fell in love with backcountry camping, in the year that almost wasn't 2020. So, without any further ado, Jody, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, share parts of your story. How did you get here? And then I'm sure that we're going to continue the epic conversation that we've been enjoying before the camera turned on.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much for having me. I love this so much. When I met Angel and she had suggested this, I was so excited. I'm like, I done a little creep on you, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this woman is amazing. All these things. I'm like, I love this, and I know this, and this is me. And it was like I was looking in a mirror. So thank you so much. This is beautiful.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's just so great to be on and to, tell my story and share kind of who I am and what it is that I do and what this big old life is for me, right? Um, so I am right now I'm practicing as a freedom coach. I love the work that I do. I work mainly with women. It has been definitely inspired by my life's journey for sure. I come from a long line of actually when I was younger, I adventure was born in me very young. And amidst a tumultuous, childhood, it was a massive theme throughout. I couldn't quite get to that adventure, but I felt the fire inside of me. And it's a big theme in my life for sure. So, you know, having the journey that I did and getting stuck how I did, and then being able to work with other women who have that same fire inside of them and are facing those same obstacles that I faced in my past is so rewarding. It is so beautiful to work with other amazing souls who have just gotten to a place where they're stuck and they're not quite sure what they need and what they must do to reignite that fire and get to that life that they absolutely love. You know, freedom for me is a driving force in my life, and if we are not living aligned, free, beautifully crafted lives of our own, it is a life that is being wasted, and it hurts my heart when we are stuck. So that is the fire that is inside of me, that adventure side of me, and also helping others who just can't quite get to that fire and get to that adventure, get to that life that they love. So yeah,
Well,
that's
I
what I.
love that because that was certainly one of the things that you and I figured out right away, right? I had mentioned freedom,
Yes.
which has been a challenge for me, because I'm a people pleaser, right? I want to minimize the negative effect of my life on other people. But sometimes, in order to stand up for me, that means making somebody slightly uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Or inconvenienced, and trusting that they're going to hold space, equally, right?
Yeah.
And so freedom, right? You and I had talked about this. It's a core value for both of us, which is
Yeah.
really cool. I know I've got 10 that are solid, depending on where I'm at, right? One or
Yeah.
the other definitely leads more than that. But freedom is definitely there. I mean, it's one of my favorite hashtags on my posts, right?
Yep.
So I love that. I love that you creeped me and you're like, oh, it's my people, because I feel the same way. And I'll get off the phone. Angel knows this. She's gonna get a call from me after this, and I'll be like, OMG. Right? And it's just, I think that's really neat. And I want the listeners to really pick up on the energy here that when you take the time to do something like a core values exercise, which, I'm going to have to do a little link somewhere because I've done an interview which was amazing, with a gal who helps people really figure out what their core values are.
Yes.
And 2020 was about that for me. I've been kind of leaning that way for a while, but I went so far as to like look up the etymology of the word. And I was like, what does it actually mean? Right. And so I
Yep.
chose brave rather than courage.
Yep.
And it mattered. It really mattered. And was it love or was it kindness? And I was like, it's actually love, which I didn't think I
Hmm.
was a frilly, girl. When I've had social media people that work for me and they're like, posting and they put a heart somewhere, I'm like, listen, there's no heart anywhere. Like, I'm not
Yep.
candy, right? No offense. But there's no heart or above the eye, right? Like doesn't happen.
Nope.
Um, But this whole freedom thing has been huge, right? Freedom and self-expression. And I mean, certainly if someone listens to the podcast, they're like, yeah, no kidding. And there's been a lot to sort of step into that and lean into that. And so I love that you're helping other women do that, because I think sometimes we are so apologetic because we've been taught to not be too much, but we're never
Hmm.
quite enough. And I think that's such an interesting space to be in. I mean, it's still something that who am on this journey and pushing out. I mean, as you were talking, I would literally just wrote down, can I really create a life I love where I don't feel guilty for like something as simple as I love to go backcountry camping and not being available for people that I really do want to be available for. But I
Hmm.
just feel like I'm so much better when I'm not available 24 effing 7, right?
Yep.
Like,
It's
oh,
true. It's
yeah.
such a hard lesson to learn. And I mean, that was one of my big, I've had quite a few big struggles, in my journey and learning to, you know, coming from what I came from to where I want to be is just uncovering all of that stuff that I don't want, and digging through those layers and figuring out what is possible, right? And that was one of the big ones is, saying, you know what, this is what I need. And it's okay if I can't be there for someone, because if I don't get what I need and I don't do the things that make me feel alive and whole and sane often, we need to recharge that energy. We need to, ground and center ourselves, because when we are not in that center, when we are unfocused and unaligned,
Mhm.
everything else in our world just crumbles, and we can't truly be there for those people. We might be in front of them, but we're not present and we're not available and we don't have the capacity for them, right? So there is a big struggle getting to that point where we're like, this is okay. I can do this for myself. And knowing that this time will bring an abundance of availability for others and serving and
Well,
supporting.
I'm thinking about that because, of course, we never attract, what we want. We attract who we are. And so, right
Mhm.
now in my world, I am so blessed. And then a couple of years ago, I really set an intention. I wanted to have I wanted different women in my world. Nothing wrong with the ones that were there, right? But I
Yep.
was just like, there's something in me that wants more. And I want to get around women and people who, when I say something like, I'm going to do all of these things, they don't say things like, are you sure you can? Or
Yep.
they say things like, and how are you setting yourself up, right? Like, are you going to be successful if you do that? And, it's the nature of those questions. And I've been thinking a lot about that because as women, I think we make ourselves responsible for other people. I know I do. I
Yep.
feel a great amount of responsibility. And maybe that's because, I was raised with that whole idea of, with great leadership requires great responsibility, right? Great love,
Yep.
great responsibility. Like, talk about being a mom, right? It's like,
Yep.
oh, Chris, there is
Yep.
some responsibility there. So talk me through the shift for you because you've hinted sort of a few times that there's a bit of a backstory. I like the backstory. You got to being a freedom coach. So first, what does it mean for you to be a freedom coach? And
Mhm.
how did you get there?
Yeah. I think the earliest memory that I love to recall on is, um, I think it was like 7 or 8. And I knew the life that I was being brought up in was smaller than I kind of wanted. We lived out in the country. There was a lot of lack instilled in me early on. A lot of survivalist beliefs were born there. And we were gifted a big box of like National Geographic magazines. So I think that's where my love of travel came about. I'm an avid traveler, world traveler. And on the cover, there was a little boy and a little girl, and they had the American flags painted across their face. It was probably a July 4th edition or something. And they were joyful and they were happy. And to me, that just looked like the picture of freedom, the American dream and the freedom and all that stuff that I didn't quite understand when I was 7 or 8, but it spoke to me. And I'm like, and then I'd open up the magazine and I'd see all these beautiful places in the world, right? And I knew I wanted something bigger. I needed something more. And the path that I took growing up and into adulthood, it was an achievement type journey, really. It's like do more, achieve more, be more. and don't listen to myself, push down all of the struggles, quiet the wants and the
Are you
needs.
me? Because seriously, I'm like, what? Do more, be more, highly activate that masculine side, right? And do things.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. And totally entrenched in that. And I was super successful. I'd done amazing things. I traveled the world. I had a, 12-year career in real estate. Like I was winning at life, supposedly winning at life. And then stuff come along and it knocked me on my ass, like knocked me on my ass. I'd been entrenched in personal development, because of my upbringing and stuff. And I'm like, this can't be the only way. There's got to be something that fixes this. So from my 20s, I was entrenched in that. I was a coach and I knew all the tricks and the trades and what I should be doing and stuff. And this one, I had an ex cheat on me and it knocked me on my ass, like on short-term disability, experienced panic attacks and anxiety and PTSD for the first time. And I'm like, what is this? And then that's when I'm like, oh, I was doing all the surface work, but I wasn't digging deep enough to get to all of the crap that was still in
That's the
there.
crap. That's the stuff, man. That's the stuff.
So much stuff and there's so many layers. So for me, freedom kind of evolved from that, those faces of those kids and, the traveling and the adventure side to a freedom of self. My soul needs to be free. My emotions need to be free. Like choices need to be free, all of that. It became a different kind of journey for me. There was one where I traveled the world and then there's an inner freedom as well. Yeah.
Well, and I
Yeah.
hope that our listeners are picking up that it's actually really messy, this work that we engage in, and I try to talk about that oftentimes, because I have people that are they're coaches, so they're at a point where they can speak about it, and or myself, I talk about it, and I'm like, no, there was a part where it was messy, it was bad, it was not pretty, and there are still moments like that, like even now, and I feel like the closer I get to my core, who I am, the more sensitive I become. And I've had to get really good at, not necessarily defending that, but um, sort of standing up for myself that it's okay that I only want to work a certain number of hours, that I'm actually better when I rest more.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's to create space for more. And then I was reminded today, because as I was sharing with you, I got baby on the way. I should be slowing down. This is what I was saying last time I was pregnant. And in fact, my life was speeding up. And I said, this is weird, okay? But I get into womb space and I get all mum around and I'm like, there's more. But I had to remind myself today when someone said, can you take it on? And I was like, I won't, but I will reach out and I will lead, or I will communicate more, or I will create more
Yes.
presence. But I think that's been part of my challenge. Is
Mm,
I like to do it for people, and that's not serving them. So, how do you, when
yeah.
you're working with someone as a freedom coach, inspire them to do it? Because isn't that the interesting piece, right? Like, we can't make someone do it.
No. We have to reach a tipping point where we don't want what we have more than, it's uncomfortable to make that change to do the things that we want to do. There's got to be
Newsflash,
that tipping point.
it will be uncomfortable.
100%.
Like we were talking about, right? And again, if you haven't gone backcountry camping and you want to, drop a link. I'm sure one of us are quite happy to give you an experience and take you with us one of these times. But we were laughing before the show because this is something we sign up for. I'm like,
Yep.
I don't like cardio at the gym. Okay. Like I would post out my trainers. I'm like, I ain't doing it. You got to hide it somewhere. And then, but I have no problem strapping a pack on my back
Yep.
and like sweating like a dog and like, oh my word, man. Like, especially
Yep.
not being pregnant, I am like winded and it is not pretty. And there's not a pretty flush going on. And I am like, I feel so alive. Right?
It's so terrible. I remember the backpacking backcountry trip I done last year. It was Berg, and I remember my pack is like 40 pounds. I'm going, it's straight up this mountain. There's hardly any breaks. You're just going up, and it doesn't stop until
Stop.
you're there.
Yeah.
And I remember we got to the point where the day hikers were catching up with us, and the people who had spent the night halfway up were then now hiking. And I am like sweating and slogging, and I'm like, I am walking so slow, and I'm like, what am I doing? Everyone's just like, this is fun. And I'm like, this is hell. But it will be 100% uncomfortable.
Mhm.
I tell them, I often tell clients, we're in a fight with our brain. We're fighting our brain and our ego and our comfort zones, right? Our brain, when we say, I'm going to go to the gym, I want to go feel healthy and get active and move, and I'm going to the gym, and I lay out my beautiful workout gear the night before, and then the alarm rings, and we're like, ooh, this is warm. I'm not getting out. I don't have to do this today. I'll do it later. I'll do it after work when, I'm already up and at about, or, I was winter running this last winter, and I'll get up and I'm like, ooh, it's -20. That's not good for me. That's not safe. And, we don't do it, but it's fighting your brain, and it's recognizing that it's trying to keep you safe. And it doesn't understand that those things are not dangerous. They're just uncomfortable. And choosing to do those uncomfortable things because we made those promises to ourselves, because we have this picture and this life that we want to create, we have to keep that and hold that so
Mhm.
dearly and so tightly, because otherwise our brains will win in that split second of a moment when it fights us. We have to get out the boxing gloves
Yeah.
and get at it. Yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise it wins. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I have fallen so much in love with the backcountry camping is,
Yes.
especially last year, there were some really hard things I was doing, and I would literally make a list of things I was going to leave on the mountain. And for me, it was
Yes.
very therapeutic. There wasn't a ceremony. I just knew that at some point I'd be in the middle of a hike. My feet would hurt, my back would hurt. I would
Yep.
just be hurting, a hurting unit.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'd be like, that's it, I'm done. And it was easier at that moment to also energetically think about that thing, person, place, circumstance, whatever it
Mm,
was, habit, and say, I'm also done with you. Like, I'm done. I am going to lean
yes.
into the pain right now.
Yep.
I'm going to drink some more water, and I'm just going to walk another kilometer. And I'm
Yep.
just going to walk one more kilometer. And eventually there'll be a camp somewhere. Where is the camp? Right?
Uh-huh.
Why is there,
Yep.
wait, we're staying, we're leaning, right? And it was just, Mark will say, every step massages the soul. And I was like, no
Oh, I
kidding.
like
And it
that.
was an incredibly
Yes.
powerful thing. What's been interesting though, Jody, is this year there have been times when like I didn't necessarily have an intention, but obviously I know it's gonna be a moment when I'm going to, hit that moment and so can do
Yep.
some then. And some of the stuff that because I haven't had a set intention, it's been opening up. I just posted about this a couple days ago, that what came up for me was, oh, I didn't realize that was a thing. And
Mm,
that's been the theme of 2021 is I didn't know it was a thing. But like there's more layers and there's more work and who knew that was going to be a thing? Okay, I'll let that go right now. And I think, whether it's meditation or whether it's yoga or whatever your thing is, I think we, especially as women, need that moment when it's just like, I'm not Candice the mom, I'm not Candice the business owner. I'm
yeah.
just, I'm just like blood, sweat, and tears sometimes, right? But
Yes.
I just am. And there's a certain element of that where it's incredibly therapeutic. And perhaps that's
Very.
the thing that comes up, for you in your work. I mean, transformational coach is a big one right now.
Mm-hmm.
Say that lovingly and irreverently, because I'm not really sure what a transformational coach is. Everybody has an opinion on this, and I respect that. But why did you choose the word freedom coach? Like, what's the distinction for you in that word?
I, of course, love the word freedom. Um, and at the same time, it is something, I had experienced and had a taste of what freedom was. And then when I hadn't dealt with my stuff, I felt trapped. I felt so trapped. I felt stuck in a rut.
Mhm.
And I've known a lot of other people very intimately where they also are stuck in that rut and they don't know how to get out. And it feels like we have built our own walls
That's
and our
right.
own cells. Exactly. Yep. 100%.
Mhm.
And you know, to not know how to get out of those or deconstruct those walls or how to get back to that freedom that you tasted or how to create whatever it is that you're striving for, it's it's the very opposite of freedom. So being able to work through that stuff, being able to overcome and challenge all of that crap and layer by layer peel it off so that we can get to that diamond self, to that authentic core, that we know lives in there. We can feel it. It's that niggle. We can feel it. It's living in there and it is slowly burning. I equate it to like the little pilot light that is sitting in our fireplaces, right? It's just slowly burning, but it's not a fire, right? And getting back to that, peeling off the crap so that we can actually ignite that fire again. And that is what freedom is having that fire just roar again. And I'm getting goosebumps even just thinking about it. Like it excites me so, so much. So that's, the a 9-week program that I run is called From Frustrated to Free. And it's going from that place where you're stuck in those walls and you're frustrated and you're just spinning and spinning and spinning and you're not quite sure how to get out of it. So working through that, unraveling it, and getting to that place where you are even just a little bit more free to make different choices or to feel a little bit differently about what life can be or what the possibility might be for you. Yeah.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
I love that because I mean, I one of the words I looked up was, stuck, right? Which literally means stick. Which when I heard that, I burst
Yeah.
out laughing because I was like, wow, it literally, when you say I'm stuck, which of course I is such an important word to put in front of anything, especially
Yeah.
I am stuck literally means I am standing in a whole bunch of sticks. And we all know sticks, like at least in my impression, a stick is not a log. A stick is something I can break over my knee.
Hmm.
That was really empowering for me because it made me realize, oh, if I'm feeling stuck, I am literally, I've done this.
Yep.
So I should probably stop and break a few branches so that I can get
Yes.
unstuck. I think for a lot
I
of
love that.
people, myself included, in part of my journey was I had gone on a trajectory, and when you try
Yes.
to change your trajectory, there is some pushback, and often from people who love you the most, usually
Yes.
who are very well meaning. And
Yeah.
I experienced that. And I mean, certainly for me, it was a huge learning curve. Take disappearing to backcountry. I'd never done this before. And so people who had expected me to always be there or always relied on me were really taken aback, and some of them very offended by this. So it was a
Yeah.
powerful opportunity for me to learn a new skill to communicate. Hey, I'm going
Mm.
into the woods on Friday. I would literally be unreachable
Yep.
Sunday. um, was really powerful. And I remember thinking to myself, why don't I set up these, you know, freedom weekends, right? Or these time weekends to not be so available uh, before. Because I could do that, whether I'm in my tiny house or, whether I'm on a mountain. I really
Yep.
could. And it's really made me think about that. And I'm, listening right now, at least in my world, to some women who have jobs and they have responsibilities, and they feel very hemmed in. I'm not going to say stuck, but hemmed in by some of
Yeah.
those responsibilities, which are like legitimate conditions to their
Yep.
ability to access freedom in the same way that I can literally say, I'm not working today, right? Because I'm an entrepreneur.
Yep.
So what would you say to the woman who feels very hemmed in by legitimate conditions, right, on her ability to experience freedom, potentially to the way she would prefer to.
Hmm. Yeah. This is definitely a juicy little piece because the way we think about freedom is different for everyone, and
Mhm.
it's I've often gotten pushback when I've used the word mediocrity. For me, mediocrity has no place in my life because that means that it's that I'm not striving to be my best self. I'm just kind of settling, and everyone has a different picture of what it is they want for their life. They have a different picture of freedom. They have a different picture of mediocrity. They have a different picture of what they want their life to be as well. You know, we're not all going to be world travelers. We're not all going to be backcountry campers. We're all not all going to be moms, right?
Mhm.
So really just figuring out what it is that that life that you want, or even just those pieces that you want, look like, and find ways, little ways. It's sometimes, you know, even taking rest for myself, I've had to learn to take rest even in just the 5 minutes that I have. You know, it doesn't have to be a whole weekend away. You know, sometimes that is what I have. And starting small is the easiest way to do that. You know, really getting into the knowing of yourself. What is it that you want? What is it that makes you feel peaceful? What is it that makes you feel alive? What are those things? And maybe if we do have an idea of something big, what is a little piece that we can take away today? What is something we can do right now in the moment that will give us that exact same feeling, but just on a smaller
Mhm.
scale? You know, and we can, in a moment, we can change our emotional state, our way of thinking about things, our way of feeling about things. You know, I often, when I'm plunking away at work and I am like so tired and so drained and I just want to go have a nap and I'm like, I gotta finish, you know, I'll put on a song and I'll dance, you know, and that changes everything in a moment, right? So we do have that power to give ourselves what we need. It may just not look like the big picture of what we want, but there's always something that we can do in those little moments, you know. And then when we have that, I don't like the word normalize, but once we kind of incorporate that into our lives and have that be, you know, a standard that we live by, it can then kind of create bigger and bigger. And I often say, once we go into ourselves and we spend time with ourselves and have that intimate knowledge and embodiment of that knowing of what lives inside of us, it
Mhm.
is so hard to ignore. It doesn't go away. It rings in your ears and it yells in you and screams at you the more and more you ignore it. So once we do dig into that, it becomes a bigger and bigger piece of our life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I agree. And, certainly I'm not always able to escape, to the mountains, but I have discovered, and I think I tapped into this a few times in my life. And so for my listeners,
Mm.
think about times in your life when you were closer to where you wanted to be, right? My life has been a series of detours. Kind of back on the same spot. And I was like, how does that work? Anyway, I think I have an overarching, single life lesson, for me to learn, which is totally fine. I've now leaned into that. People are like, well, that's just Candice. I'm like, yes, just, you can count on me. But I have always enjoyed, for a little bit of a season when I was going through a big shift and transition in my life, I took off and did a lot of house sitting, which was my way of traveling with where I was at, right? It was affordable. It made
Yeah,
sense. Um, Such a good way to travel if you're a mom.
that's
Seriously,
beautiful.
I'll drop a link below. Get in touch. Um, I need to do a whole podcast on that. Like, how do you travel on a dime? Because it's so important. And I think I did it because I just needed that sense of freedom.
Yeah.
But now it can be simply, I'll just go for a drive, right? Because getting in my car and pointing my wheels somewhere, even if it's just to get a cup of coffee or a
Yes.
tea if you can't afford a coffee, is embracing that freedom, right? Like you say, putting on the thing. And the other day I was driving and I had like 12 hours I had planned. I was gonna work. I got in the car and I think I probably listened to like 5 hours of like women empowerment songs. It was all I wanted to do, man. I was like,
Yep.
yeah, and I was like, am I feeding my brain? I was like, no, but I'm definitely feeding my soul right now.
Yes. Yep.
And I just kind of needed to sort of recenter, like I'd said with you earlier, as a mom, right? Um, a lot of people were surprised when I had my first baby because I loved freedom so much.
Yes.
I was hard. I worked hard. I was a workaholic. I loved it. I really enjoyed that part of my life.
Yeah.
And certainly being a mom brought out a whole other side to my personality. But I
Yeah.
didn't wake up the day after I had an Ara, and I remember literally thinking, I'm a mom now, but I still want to do all of the things I wanted to do yesterday.
Yes.
She was Earthside. And that was both anxiety inducing and encouraging. And I remember thinking, so how do I do that and still be present and still be a mom? And so that's, certainly been you can't do it on your own, which I think is a lesson every woman needs to learn.
Yes.
if my chiropractor was digging into some sore muscles today in intimate places, and she was like, "Sorry, I'm all up in your business," and I was like, "Listen, sister, you were helping me out. I am not bringing this baby aside, right, without my team. Get in there, right?"
Yep, do your thing.
Right? I think for women, if you're on this hunt for freedom, there's a reason you're listening to this podcast, because a woman like Jody exists to basically show you the way, right? You felt hemmed in by your
Yep,
circumstances, by the way you were raised by good people, likely. Just, these subtle beliefs that,
yep.
man, those things are entrenched. Okay?
Oh, they're so entrenched. They're so entrenched. And, that's another thing with the freedom is just the daily, when I travel, I'll start with that. When I travel, I feel such immense freedom, but I also have the time and the space and the capacity to sink into myself and
Mhm.
just be able to bear witness to my surroundings and be in awe and be inspired and feel creative and just be like, holy wow, this is life. And here I am, in the middle of it all. And then when I would come home, I would feel, I didn't have kids, I'm not married, none of that stuff, but I would feel hemmed in by being in one place, like I remember when I was moving back into my house, the first time I was driving home from work after that, I I started sobbing and uncontrollably like hyperventilating. I was like, this is my life. I am back here and I do not like this. And for me, it was just finding little things that I could do at home. Like, what is adventurous? What have I never done? What is a different way I can even drive home from work and see something different, just anything that could inspire those same things that I felt on the road at home. A lot of times when I had that time when I was away, I could just be, and just witness. When I'm at home, I'm running the rat race. I didn't have the time to do those things. So just taking that time, saying, I'm going to go walk to the park. I would never do that at home because I'm driving here and driving there, just being super intentional and incorporating those things that I felt while I felt free and in awe, you know, putting that into my everyday life instead of hyperventilating, crying because I'm stuck.
I'm always amazed how much concrete there is when I come back.
Yep.
Um, and I like to go earthing, right? I like to take my shoes off and run
Yes.
around
Yes.
barefoot. People are like, "Why do you go into mountain streams?" I'm like, one, because I'm hot. Two, because there's something about the second that cold hits you, and I'm like,
Yep.
that makes me feel alive.
Yep.
And
It
I
is so uncomfortable because it is so cold, but it's so invigorating.
and I'm always proud of myself for, like, it hurts. Yeah, it totally does. And
Yep.
it feels so good afterwards.
Yep.
I feel like I didn't miss an opportunity. And I think I've tried to live my life without regrets. But a lot of my regrets are things I didn't do. You know,
Yes.
Traveling
100%.
to Hawaii, really cute guy, asked if I wanted to learn surfing. And I was afraid of sharks. So guess what I said?
No.
You know what
No.
I know. Do you know what I have been like? It's been on my list and it's like circled and it's like it bothers me. I'm going back to Hawaii and I'm
Yes.
going to learn to surf. Okay.
Yes.
Right? So even now, because of course my body's very different. And last year there was a peak or two that I'd be like, we're going up that, right? Like we're doing it. And I was like, I don't know if I have the room between my knees and my belly to scramble. Like this may actually be physically unwise.
Unattainable.
So, my gentle self is like, put it on the bucket list,
Yes.
you can come back next year. And so it's just a running joke now. I'm like, we're coming back. Like we're totally coming back and I'm going up.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so I wanted to say that to the people who are listening. It's okay. We are you. The difference is that something went snap inside of
Yep.
us and we have decided to pursue freedom. We've decided to pursue the things that make us feel free. And I know
Yep.
for me, a lot of that comes from the fact that I was sexually assaulted at 17 and I wanted to be happy because, of course, it brought on a lot of depression and I didn't heal a lot of it for a number of years. And then even then, it was layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of healing, right? As
Yeah.
something of that impact does, right? So, regardless of its personal circumstance, that thing that changes you, it often takes some time.
Yep.
But part of that is I remember laying on the floor when I was going to commit suicide and thinking, I want to feel because I'd numbed so much.
Numbed. Yep.
And so I think part of it goes back to that, right? When it feels that cold, I'm like, I'm still alive, right? And
Yep.
that is certainly a driving force for me is I didn't do that scary thing. I'm here. I'm happy. I'm going to go into the freezing cold water because
Yes.
that feels so much better.
Yep.
But I know there's lots of women who, they feel disconnected from themselves and they feel lot. And it could just be simply because they got stuck in life and you're
Yep.
making really smart choices. You're doing all of the right things. But I think there's part of a woman who's wild, right? Like,
100%.
right? I know I'm like, there's a woman out there listening right now. I'm like, yes, it is okay to feel
Yes.
wild and to feel angry or to feel sad or any of those things. And yeah, that's certainly a big piece of freedom for me is just the freedom to feel, right?
100%. I think a lot of us are conditioned, by our caregivers, society, whatever, that we are to be nice little girls, and not speak up and not, do anything outlandish or wild or, and a lot of that is silenced in ourselves. And we are so powerful. We are wild. There's so much fierceness inside of us all, softness and tenderness, but also fierceness, and it is powerful. There's so much we can do with that. There's so much we can feel with that and achieve with that, right? And it's getting to that knowing part again where we get in touch with that and connected to that and feel okay to be that again. Yeah.
So I think, for the woman who's maybe listening to this and she'd like to feel a little more wild or just a little more connected to herself, we're not going to make you go backcountry camping, especially if you reach out to, my new friend Jody here. To find and define what freedom means for you. I was chatting with my mom the other day and she had said,
Yeah.
part of freedom for her would be simply just being able to take a week-long vacation for her at home so she could do all of the things that never get done, right? So like
Yes.
photo albums or knitting or watching girly movies until 3 in the morning or eating pancakes for supper.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, mom, let's set that up, right? I mean,
That's
it's
amazing.
what do we need to do to make that happen? And her comment was, my dad, bless his heart, was like, we don't want to spend with me. And she was like, I do. And right.
Yep. Hmm.
And they're an amazing couple, right? So, but just listening to her share that, and I thought, you know what, that's so true, right? I'm pretty vocal with my friends and my now partner to say, yo, here's my boundaries.
Yes.
I need freedom. I need to disappear into the woods. Yeah. And
That's gorgeous.
I think that that's something that we have to learn because it's still something I do with fear and trepidation. Right? Sometimes I was doing a
Yeah.
text. I'm leaving for the weekend. I love you. Right? So, ladies, don't feel bad if you feel like, if you, that's probably a legitimate concern that somebody who loves you very much, that you love very much, that you want to spend a lot of time with, will gently say, but what about me? Right? And kudos to the guys because I mean they inspire me. I don't know if they inspire you, Jody, but they really inspire me that I'm like,
Yes.
you guys say no and stand up for yourselves in a way that I am jealous of.
Very
Right?
much so.
Like, I need a nap. And I go take one. I was like, I needed a nap 2 hours ago. Why didn't I take one?
Uh-huh. And then you're like, why the hell are you napping? I'm working hard and you get to nap. And then that whole cycle starts.
And now lately I'm like, who's pregnant? And he's like, well, they both nap. And I'm like, right, thanks. Again, ladies, don't feel bad, okay?
No.
We're mocking ourselves a little bit here so that you find the courage to, call someone like Jody or, go do that thing you want to do.
Yeah.
I find skinny dipped this year.
Yes, good for you.
Oh, it was liberating.
It's so
Um,
liberating.
I know. And
Feels amazing.
Mark was like, you've done a lot of things. You've never skinny dipped. I'm like, I just wasn't, and just, no.
No.
And then I post it, and it's like National Skinny Dipping Day, and I was like, oh, which I thought was great because part of me, part of me was still like, what if I make somebody uncomfortable?
Oh,
And
yes.
it turns out it's National Skinny Dipping Day. And I was like, oh, thanks. Sometimes things work out. Just, post what you want to post, ladies, and it'll work itself out.
100%. Yeah, the world and the National Holiday Board give you permission that day to go
Right.
skinny dipping. You
What's
must do it again and give yourself permission this time, though.
Yes, right? That's my homework. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I did think that that was interesting, and I wanted to bring it up because I wanted to let someone know if they're thinking, I could not do what you do. That's okay, right? You'll find it's a lot easier when you start. And that was what I was
Yes.
getting at is I did something that was scary and the world literally conspired for it to be easier for me. So that the next time it's a whole heck of a lot easier, right?
Yes.
And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast. I'm sure it's one of the reasons why you're a freedom coach is
Yep.
I just be like, look at me, okay? I am flawed. Wow, am I flawed? But you know what? If you can find some sort of similarity in me, then maybe you'll chase the same sense of freedom. And maybe you'll do something you never thought you'd do. And, I'm terrified of getting to the end of my life and thinking I didn't have enough time.
Yes. 100%. And that is one of my worst fears too. We are here to live this amazing, juicy,
Mhm,
brilliant
mhm,
life.
mhm.
I find that I know for me personally, I have taken myself seriously and life so seriously to the point of a detriment, where
You
it's
and I are
like
like sisters. Oh my word.
it gets in the way of having fun. Through
It
my
does.
healing journey, I've had to relearn how what is play, what is fun. Even as recent as this, through this pandemic, I was just working and I'm like, wow, the world has now come and is catering to my introvert ways. I don't have to go out. It's actually not good for me to go out. So I'm like, this is amazing. And after so many months, I'm like, I need to do something fun. I need
Yeah.
something
I'm
live.
cheating to get out of the house. How weird is that? I know.
And I started rock climbing, and it was beautiful to be able to just go and do something that's so challenging, right? And I lost my train of thought, but
You are me. No, it's so
totally am
true,
you.
right? The world caters to us introverts. And it's like, but you're so social. I'm like, yeah, but I like being by myself. This is why I can
No.
hang out with the tree all day.
We learn to be social. We learn to be extroverts, but at heart we are definitely introverts. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Um yeah, I don't remember
Favorite
where
time
that thought was going.
you got by yourself? And people can tell we're having way too much fun here. We're just having a cup of coffee and we turned the camera on. It's literally all that's happening here.
It's so
Um,
true. I love it.
we've never met in person. Thank you, pandemic. But you know what? It's
I
been
know.
meeting people. I'm like, and I'm like, oh hi, nice to meet you, right? It's like, oh my word. Um, I'm saying I have mom brain. I have an excuse. I'm supposed to be paying attention. I'm the host here.
I
Apparently,
have I have backcountry camping brain because I'm leaving tomorrow. So
you're leaving tomorrow, right? I just got back yesterday. Mom brain and everything else.
uh-huh.
You'll remember somewhere on the trail. You'll be like, "That's what I wanted to say." It's okay. We'll have
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
encore.
I was talking about juicy life. Like this is we're meant to playing, yes. And that it reinvigorated my like want to play and have fun. It's not something that comes naturally to me because I was an achiever, a fixer, a mediator, all of these things since early childhood, and taking myself so seriously and planning and making sure everything's taken care of and
Mhm.
looking at all the things that could happen and doing everything I can do to prevent that. And oh, I was living in my head. So being able to live this life as big as we were created for it to be, and get into that play and that space where we actually enjoy life and can love without restriction and create without restriction and roam without restriction. We still have our obligations, in our life and the things that we choose to call into our lives.
Mhm.
And there can be so much more as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so much seriousness that I had taken on that I had to kind of scrub away.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I think the same way, and it's interesting when I can even hear it in my own voice, right? When
Mm,
I'm after I come back, I'll send a voice message to someone. I think. wow, I'm grounded today, right? And I like that person, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
that's what's really interesting now is I'm like, I like me, right? I like that I come back and for 2 or 3 days, I want to connect with people. And it makes me want to
Yes.
connect and then say, okay, I'm disconnecting because clearly this disconnecting piece is a huge part of my ability to be. And it's interesting because I grew up in a very conservative Christian background, which gave me a great
Mm,
grounding for life, right? In terms of
yeah.
morals and ethics and values. Great place to start. But one of the things that always stood out for me a verse was, in quietness and confidence will be your strength. And the older I've gotten, I've come to realize it's not about not speaking, right? That's not what the quiet means.
No.
But it's just when I'm out there and I'm quiet, right?
Yes.
And you can literally hear the buzzing. I'm like, what is that buzzing? Oh, that's the bugs. Like that's literally,
Yep.
I can hear my own thoughts. Um, and in this confidence of I can do this. It's hard, but I'm going to be doing just fine because, I did 18K 2 weeks ago, so I can totally do 30K this week. This kind of thing. It's
Yep.
that's I think where the biggest piece for me is now going in this quietness and confidence and how do I move here? Yeah. Um, and the ability to edit later.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's like, where is this? About 42 minutes in. Okay. Um, Anyway, we're certainly coming to, I think, the part of the show where I do want to open it up. That if you've got something you want to leave our listeners with,
Mm,
that would be a great time. Obviously, we're going to have all of the links to connect with you down below. Um, you know, we'll make sure that it's easy for people to connect with you, which I think is a huge piece. If I know this woman, and I think I do because I feel like she's, my twin. We want you to connect with her. Okay. So find her and say, hi, I heard your podcast with Candice. I don't know what I need. And she'll intuitively pick it up and you'll just have a conversation. So don't stress about that.
Yep.
She's not going to make you go skinny dipping.
No, or backcountry camping.
We may invite you along, but you don't have to do that. But what would you leave, the listeners with today?
Um, Another thing that I lead my life by is curiosity. Stay in curiosity. I love that one, and I think it's something that we could a lot of us can take away something from, especially coming out of this pandemic. Is we're all on different journeys. Every single one of us are on different journeys, and we're in different spots on our journey. And that was one of the earliest things I had to learn as a coach. It's like I've learned all these things, and I've been through all of these trainings and stuff, and I know all these things, and I forget that not everyone does know those things as well, right? So we're all starting at different spots, and being curious before that judgment or that resentment or those icky feelings that kind of creep in,
Mhm.
having that curiosity just to pause and say, what is this? What is happening? What is going on? What is, for others and for ourselves too? There's lots of times where we can get frustrated or we can have some feelings about something. Um, and yeah, just having that curiosity to pause and question things is so, so helpful. And it's not to, it's about just acknowledging what we're experiencing and honoring the emotions that come with it all, honoring the emotions of others, and just seeing people, ourselves, and others for who we are and how we're showing up, and the curiosity of the backstory of, how is it that we came to show up this way? Humans, I love this. I see every human as a soul, not as a human with all of our messes and wounds and pains and survival beliefs. We're just beautiful, beautiful souls that are living this experience on earth. And I think, I know I myself for sure have gotten attached many times in past to the stories. They cut me off in traffic, so I'm going to be mad at that, or that's just the simplified version of many versions that we experience that bring us frustrations and hurt feelings, right? we get attached to that. So being able to pull back and just have curiosity of other people and where they are in their journey, and we can definitely see how we're showing up, and maybe in that see why others are showing up in that space as well. That curiosity has saved my butt so many times. And when I don't have that curiosity, I know I feel that bite in my butt.
Right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. That's my biggest thing, is other than freedom, is the curiosity, just slowing things down, and just questioning things before we have that reaction, so
Mhm.
we can then respond appropriately to both ourselves, and having grace for ourselves and whatever we're dealing with on our plate or navigating at the time, and having that same grace and kindness for others as well.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? Just remembering, where people are at. And yeah, I think a perspective and vantage point makes a big difference. Um,
Huge.
I forget what book I was reading. One about change, though. And it talks
Mm,
about that, as leaders, when we are dealing with change, we have a different perspective than sometimes the people we're encouraging the change from.
mm,
I thought about that this weekend because, there was a bluff that we wanted to climb and it looked very high.
yeah.
And then the day before we decided to do that one, that was close to the campground, so we're gonna go further afield and then come back. So we actually did the mountains, right? We did something that was much higher than this little bluff. And then we came
Yeah.
back and Mark and I were both looking at him like, that does not look nearly as high as it did this morning. Right? And I was like, isn't
That's
that
true.
life? Right? Like all we did was get around, expanded the vision a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
and realized that the block, it was still high, but it was not, the perspective was not nearly that high. And I think,
No.
that's the power of working with a coach. That's the power of hanging out with somebody like Jody is. She's been on the mountain, both personally, internally, and to say, actually, it's not that high, but let's get you to a vantage point where you can see that, and then you realize you're looking down
Yes.
on the bluff that felt so unclimbable.
Yeah.
Not without the scramble, but you're thinking, well, I scrambled up twice this high yesterday, so no biggie. But isn't that life, right?
Yeah.
That you've survived 100% of your bad days up until now.
Yep.
You can probably take this one on too. So anyway, we're definitely
100%.
gonna have you back on the show because this was amazingly fun.
I'd love to. It has been fun.
Right? We may have to record an episode somewhere, far, far away from clean white wall backdrops. And
Yes, I'm in.
be like, so we're podcasting from
The bluff on that mountain.
here. A lot. You know, yeah. The lighting will not be nearly as good, right? No, no little circle lights. Anyway, thank you for holding space with me today and engaging in just a lot of fun. That's hopefully been encouraging to listening in.
Yeah, definitely. If we can even just touch one person in what they're navigating at the time, it makes it all worthwhile. So it's beautiful to be able to share this space and to jam about all these wonderful things and share our experiences and hopefully inspire, or spark something in others out there. That's beautiful. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited. And I'm looking forward to the next time we get to chat and hearing about, how your latest adventure that you're taking off on tomorrow will be. I know how exciting that
Yes,
is. I get happy. So if this is your last, work thing of the day, I know how happy you're going to be when you're
it
like,
is.
I'm done. Let's go packing. How many bars do I need? Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep, totally. I'm there. I was there before this because this is my last work thing, but I'm like, this is a fun thing.
I know. I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, this is good. I like ending my day with these because then I leave and I'm inspired and I still have to go and do the laundry from the weekend, so that's where I'm headed. So, all good.
Yeah.
Anyway, to the rest of my listeners, I hope you got something out of today. If you did, of course, get in touch with myself or with Jody. We are certainly here to support you as we can in our journeys. I have a sense that she shows up about as honestly as I do on my social media. So follow along, get some daily inspo. We are really just two very imperfect women attempting to live lives in a way that suits our souls and making a mess of it every day and having a great time at the same time.
100%. Yep, 100%.
And of course, like, love, share, subscribe. It really does make a difference as we are putting out the content and sharing what we do. We often feel like our butts are out in the wind. And so when you let us know, hey, this had an impact, it actually goes a long way for us to continue to show up in that way. So without any further ado, I will catch the rest of you on the flip side. And again, Jody, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Hey, I wanted to talk to you a minute today about the gig economy. What is the gig economy? It's basically the side hustle, side income economy that's become so popular today and age. I hope you're still listening to this ad because it's really important for me. I was in the network marketing industry for over 13 years and I had an incredible experience. I learned a ton of things, but there were many things about the industry of network marketing that I really didn't love. One of which was the overinflated products. Number two was the fact that I had to build a team or balance those things that we would call legs, the whole pyramid thing. I really was done with that. About a year ago, I was introduced to a social retail company. Social retail simply means that we are using our social media platforms, which are free, by the way, to promote products and services that we love. The affiliate marketing is booming. Not even going to lie. It's an incredible place to be in. And I am speaking to the woman who's in her 30s or maybe in her 40s, and she'd like to create that extra income. She'd like to create income on her own time. And she'd like to do it in a company that isn't all about the hype, that has some real products that she can get behind and would work with somebody who wants to teach her how to do that. If that's you, then I would really love it if you would reach out to me. Feel free to comment below or leave me an email. Scan the code. I'm sure there's a code somewhere if you're watching on my YouTube channel, but I would love to get in touch with you. And this is why. The company that I'm with, modere.com or modere.ca, depending on where you're at, check out shiftingretail.com. So that's shiftingretail.com. I want you specifically to go check out the values of this company and what their mission is. That was really important for me. I got flown down to the corporate offices and I had a chance to meet with the corporate crew and meet with the visionaries that are really driving the company forward. And what I discovered is this. The first thing they said to me was, Candice, when people come here from a network marketing company, they start making money. Now, disclaimer, this is work. This is going to take work. This is going to take energy, effort, time, and skill. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Those don't exist, at least not ones that I would like to put my name behind. However, this company pays us 10 to 36% on commissions of whatever we've moved within our business. And we get paid daily. We get paid up to twice daily. Biggest, coolest thing about this, if I move product, I get paid on the product, period. No balancing legs, no having to do any of that stuff. If product moves because of a referral that I did, whether it was through my social media, through a swipe up influencer, or a person-to-person conversation, doesn't matter. I'm going to get paid on it. And for me, being paid on the work and the effort that I do is important. So if this is something that's intriguing to you, I invite you to head over to shiftingretail.com or head over to Smiley, that's CSMILEY.shiftingretail.com, and you'll be able to join my team directly. If you've got some more questions, please comment below or find a way to contact me and get in touch, because I would love to share with you how we're building this and how affiliate marketing is the place for you to be. And trust me, once I show you how to do it with this company, I will show you the many companies, brick and mortar stores, you name it, sole proprietors, entrepreneurs who have an affiliate-based idea. And once you can do it with one company, you can do it with any of them. So I'm excited to teach you that. In fact, so excited, we're going to give you 120 days of done-for-you post or text that will help you so that you don't have to worry about what to post or when to post or how to post it. We're going to give all of that to you. You just got to show up with drive, determination, and some cash flow to get you started. $39.99 gets you your affiliate link and code and gets ready to start. Maybe you want to try some product too. It's awesome. But up to 2 customer orders actually qualifies you for commission. So you don't even have to place an order, provided you've got customer orders that are moving in your business. Brand new customer orders qualify you for commissions every month. Super cool. Definitely an opportunity for somebody who wants to come in, put some effort in, and work with integrity, work with honesty, but really begin to use the social media time that right now is really just wasted time and turn that into cash flow. Awesome. Hope you have a wonderful day and keep enjoying our show.